Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Sorry I'm so late. I think this is the latest I've ever been. I actually lost my phone. I have no idea where my phone is right now. It's somewhere in this house. It is somewhere in this house. That is so unnerving. I know it's somewhere here. That is not an excuse. That is literally, I've been running around trying to figure out where my phone is because I need to turn it on Do Not Disturb so that it's not going off like crazy during the stream. So you might hear some phone rings. We'll see what happens. Lost my phone. What kind of idiot loses their phone in their own house? Am I alone in that? Does anybody else lose things around their house? Like a phone? Something really important? It shouldn't happen, but it does to this guy, apparently. All right, so we're here. Hope you guys are having a great week. I'm getting everything started up here. The phone will turn up. I'm not really worried about it, but mainly just worried about notifications and stuff. Hopefully it's so lost that we won't hear anything. We'll see. All right. If you're new here, we're going to be listening to calls for the next couple hours. We have no idea who's going to be calling or what they want to talk about. I'm going to be drinking lots of lemon water. It's a great way to wind down the day. Lemon water. Tea is pretty good too, but there are a few things like lemon water. Just kind of like a little reset. Getting everything booted here. Almost ready to go. Get your phones ready. We have a 1-800 number you can call here. It looks like. Check, check. Can you hear me now? That's so strange. You guys could hear me at the beginning, but not just now? Well, that's so strange. Nothing changed. I must have bumped my dongle again. I don't know if you guys were here the last time I bumped my dongle, but this happens. I've actually discovered this is why sometimes the audio drops out here. It's this, you can't see it in the frame, but there's a dongle. And I'm not just blaming this on the patriarchy. There's a dongle right here that you can't see. It's just out of frame. And it's this stupid MacBook Pro. It has all USB-C ports, and I have to have a dongle to connect to all the different ports I have going to the different routers and broadcaster encoders and whatnot. So I have to find a better solution for this because every time I touch this dongle, and I encourage anyone to clip this part of the stream and put it out of context anywhere you want. But anytime I touch the dongle, my audio goes out and no one can hear me. It's like misogyny. It's crazy. It's not a joke. The dongle. I'm going to have to find a better solution. I've actually got a PC that I might switch to. It's just under the desk. I might do the stream from the PC next time, just to make it a little more stable. I can't believe I'm saying that. I've been on Macs since the early 90s. So the fact that I just said that is really absurd to me. Okay. Glad we got that fixed. Okay, guys, lines are open. Apologies, I'm late. Everything's ready to go. If you feel like calling in, now's the time. Everything's working. Everything's ready to go. And here we go. The calls are coming in now. I can only imagine why people wouldn't be calling in when my audio is not working. Hi, thanks for calling. Hello? Maybe, stand by.
Hello?
Oh, I got you now. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hmm.
Hello? I can hear you through the stream if it's that you're talking to.
Can you hear me? Hello, hello?
Oh, hello?
Can you hear me through the phone now?
Yes, I can hear you through the phone now.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, I bumped.
Okay.
This is a dongle issue again, guys. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna say this is Apple's fault. They can handle it.
Gosh darn Apple.
Yeah, they've
I
got these
switched to Android years ago, and I'm so happy.
Yeah, I go back and forth between the Android and the Apple phones, but the Macs, it's hard for me to depart from Mac. I've been on Macs since the early 90s. They were better for a time, I maintain, but now it's anyone's guess. Who knows?
Brand loyalty will get you.
It'll get you. They're superior machines, I maintain, but they used to be. Now it's, I don't know. Like these machines now, I don't get these dongles. If they could just fix the dongles, they might have a better machine. But anyways, that's besides the point. How you doing tonight? What's on your mind?
I'm okay. I've kind of been going through a lot of different things lately. I've felt like I've had a few different things that I've wanted to call in about. As a trans woman, I deal with a lot of imposter syndrome, like being in women's spaces, and like especially as a lesbian on top of that, like it doesn't feel right sometimes to ask, women who like women exclusively to be interested in me. But what I'm actually calling about tonight is something that I kind of just realized today. My friend sent me this meme about like childhood friends and how that blossoms into romance sometimes. And he was kind of lamenting that most of his childhood friends had been lost to him through drama or trauma. And to kind of start relating to that, I went into how back in middle school I was like really depressed and kind of abusive about it in some ways. And I remembered and revealed to my friend for the first time that the way that they got my phone number was actually I gave it to them as part of like this sick and twisted game that I was playing with a bunch of my friends where I had blocked all of them and I was going to self-harm, and I blocked them all because I didn't want them to talk me out of it. And I had left this one friend unblocked, the one that I'm still talking to. In the modern times, and the game was kind of like they had to figure out that, this friend was the one that wasn't blocked and that they could talk me into unblocking the rest of them and then they could talk me out of cutting, which is obviously like really shitty and abusive. And this was like 8 years ago or something, so it's not something that I'm still like I'm in a much better place, but for a while I kind of just like made myself into this like evil villain of depression. And when it all came tumbling down, I guess not everybody picked up on how that went, and it's kind of causing my friends to have a lot of revelations about like, maybe that has something to do with why they were so unable to make friends back in high school. Like, I kind of dragged them into all of this in like a malicious way, and maybe like the people that I wanted to be our mutual friends kind of resented them for that. And I'm just kind of like going through a lot because I had also kind of repressed a lot of these memories. They're like before I came out or realized I was trans, and like obviously a very dramatic part of my life where I was having this severe untreated depression. Sorry, I feel like I'm kind of just like rambling here, but
No, it's okay. Can I attempt to sum up what I've heard so far to make sure we're on the right track? I'm trying to sponge up
yeah.
everything, but I don't want to miss anything. What I've heard you say is that you're a transgender lesbian and that you suffer from, you're suffering from some imposter syndrome, and that you've been self-harming, and that you've got this one friend that has really been the only friend who's been there for you, who has been an accountability partner in the self-harm, and is the only friend who's checking in on you, and you're just you're going stream of conscious, so it's there's no need for an apology, but that's what I've sponged up so far.
So it's kind of weird because I'm talking about like two different time frames here. It's like 8 years ago in middle school is when I was like severely depressed, and I did this whole like blocking all of my friends thing and just left this one guy. And they're like the only person out of that group that I still talk to today.
Okay. How old are you?
What's that?
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay. So yeah, so this started really young for you. This
Yeah.
all this stuff. So
Yeah. And now I'm just having to deal with like, you know, I wanna not let guilt rule my life. You know, it's a very destructive emotion, but like it was abusive the way that I like wrapped everything up into like this game around my depression. And I don't know how to like make amends with this one friend that I still talk to, you know, without centering my own feelings too much in like a dismissive way.
right. Well, you mentioned the word guilt. What of this specifically is making you feel guilt?
I mean, I threatened self-harm all these years ago, and that threat kind of became like the beginning of our friendship, me and this one guy that I still talk to. And like for them it feels like that's like this massive revelation that's undermining everything they thought they knew about me, about themselves, about how they related to everyone back in those times.
I see.
And I don't know, I just feel like I shouldn't have done that. Like straight up, that wasn't an okay thing for me to do back in, you know, my hyper depressed middle school days.
So you weren't, were you actually self-harming? Just to be very clear, were you self-harming, or was it just that you were threatening? You only threatened and you didn't actually do it, but you were, sounds like you were in kind of a place of desperation, and you used a threat of self-harm as a cry for help or something like that, and that is where things kind of started getting, going awry.
Yeah, it was like my desperation and my need. It was like my desperation for help and my like depression, my will for things to get worse for myself. We're having this complicated battle of one-upsmanship where it was like, okay, well, I'm going to self-harm and I'm going to work up to suicide. And then part of me was like, no, you need to talk to your friends about this. And then depression was like, okay, so block all of them. And then, you know, the part of me that wanted to keep living said like, well, leave one of them unblocked.
I see.
And
I see now. Okay. Yeah. You know,
I did something really bad, and it's
how bad was it? What was the
there's
situation?
a lot of feelings with it for me and for the other people that like I didn't know about. I was a stupid middle schooler with all of these like romanticized ideas of how life was supposed to go. I was like trying to write a story where I was a character and all my friends were characters.
Right. So was it the I apologize if I'm not following everything that you've let down. That's part of why I started asking some questions to kind of focus where you were in this. You know, what I'm hearing is that you've known you're trans for a long time, and that you've in a cry out for help years ago, you didn't you were feeling misunderstood and unseen and invisible, and in a cry for help, you mentioned you were going to self-harm to some friends, and they didn't have a slot for it. Am I hearing that right?
I blocked them. So
Right.
this was back in the days of iMessage.
Right.
They had talked me out of things before, been encouraging and helpful before, and I knew that they would do that again. And the depressed part of me said, "Don't let that happen."
Right.
And you know, back in the days of iMessage, you block somebody, you can still text them, and they still get it, but
Right.
you don't see anything they send back.
Right.
So I said, "Hello, I've blocked you all. There's one person that I haven't blocked. Find them, and maybe they can talk me into unblocking the rest of you, and you can talk me out of, you can talk me into putting this knife down."
I see. And you're feeling guilt over that action in particular.
Yeah.
I see.
And I mean, that kind of attitude where like I saw all of my friends as like pawns in this game where I was fighting my depression, like I don't know how long I fought that, and I'm kind of like just confronting a lot of it now for the first time. I feel like in an honest way.
Sounds like you think there would have been a better way to handle your emotions in that situation. And I'm wondering if that's true, and if so, what it is that you wish you would have done.
God, I was just a kid. I wish I would have told my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have gone to therapy.
Right.
I wish I would have known that it's good to ask for help and not push people away like that. And I mean, lessons learned, I guess, but that doesn't undo like the hurt that I've brought to these people, you know?
It was a long time ago. It sounds like you guys are all a lot older now. And,
Yeah.
you know, when you're in middle school, something like that can, I mean, you know, to be fair, threatening self-harm is serious no matter how old you are. However, in that situation, I'm imagining that the regret you feel is coming along with the new perspective you have as someone who's now a legal adult. You're in your 20s now, and you don't really get the luxury of that kind of hindsight, that kind of perspective when you're in middle school. And so it makes me wonder, these friends of yours at the time makes me wonder what kind of perspective they have now versus then, and what kind of bridges might be able to be built now that you're all older, and how you might be able to build those bridges. What kind of words do you think you might be able to use to build some bridges and
Oh gosh.
ease those?
I don't even know. A lot of these people, you know, we've gone our separate ways. But some of them are still like kind of in my life, and there's always going to be this lingering, you know, knowledge of that. And I don't know. I don't know if acknowledging that and having a conversation about it is a good way to kind of kick off a new chapter of friendship, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting. I think that's it. I think that's it. I bet that with the right words, with the right approach, with the right spirit, these people who you're talking about from back in middle school would have some newfound context for what it was you were going through and how it is that you feel now and what it is you wish you still had. I'm betting those are things that you can still get back. I'm betting those are things that are not long lost. Now,
Yeah.
I'm also wondering, like, how many of these people are still people that you really want to be around? Like, are these all people? Is every single one of these friends that you're talking about people that you miss, or is it just that there's a group of people out there who caught you, who saw you in a vulnerable moment and then ditched you? Is it like humiliation, or is it like you really wish these people were still in your life?
Oh, I mean, I think it's mostly nostalgia, you know, like I kind of come to these things with a sort of Buddhist mindset, I guess, that, you know, things are beautiful while they last, but part of why they're beautiful is that they don't always last. So like, yeah, I miss the friendships, but like I've kind of come to terms with the facts that, like, you know, that's just life. You grow up, you move on, you go to college in different states or whatever.
Right.
But no, some of these people, like, I was just talking to one of them the other day, and we've kind of had a few conversations on and off over the past few years, and her apartment is down the street from mine. She has a clear window view, apparently. And we just, like, never hang out, despite, like, both of us wanting to. And I don't know how much of that is, like, my underlying repressed guilt or some weird, like, sexual tension we had for a while. There's just a lot going on with that relationship in particular that I don't know how to approach, I guess. I don't know how I want to approach it.
Have you tried using words or phrases like, we were all really young back then and I was going through more than I knew how to handle, and I was learning and
Yeah.
I messed up. You've tried all that?
I haven't really talked about it with her much at all.
Okay.
It's just the one friend that I still regularly text.
What about I mean, text is okay, but what about like voice conversations, or even better, face-to-face conversations? I mean, these kinds of things you're talking about, mending these bridges, it's not going to happen over text, especially if the way it went down originally was over text. I mean, to repair that, even if it wasn't originally a text thread where this all went down, like if you have face-to-face history with these people, if these people are friends and you have the ability to see them face to face, these kinds of bridges should be built face to face as often as possible. I mean,
You're right.
Yeah, a text
There's
is
distance with the guy that I keep saying that I'm still texting.
okay.
He's farther.
Mm-hmm.
Still in the town where we all went to high school and things.
But he's cool with you, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we've always been cool, and like pretty much the first thing that he said after, you know, I talked about all of this and kind of like realized how messed up it was and how I never told him, like one of the first things that he said was, "I forgive you."
Good.
Which
How did that feel?
I don't know, I kind of felt like some doubt about it, I guess.
Interesting.
Because I know that forgiveness is a long process, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I believe that he's willing to forgive me. I definitely believe that, but I don't know that he's ready to actually do it right now, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, he's going to be processing the emotions and, like, the repercussions of the way that things started between us for a while, and forgiveness comes at the end of that, not the start.
Right. It comes after some kind of process. I think that's really wise of you to acknowledge that and to have a space for that in your brain.
I appreciate that he's willing to forgive me, though, and that does mean a lot.
He said it.
He acknowledged
he's on that process.
I want to be able to help him reach that without centering myself and, like, belittling his struggles by saying, oh, well, for me, when I did this awful thing to you, it was like this, and I feel so bad about it.
Right.
It just feels kind of inappropriate, but I don't know how to, because so much of, I want to relate, you know? And I don't know that that's the best approach, but I don't know what is the best approach.
Well, I almost feel like we can put this guy who already used the words "I forgive you" on the back burner a little bit, because he said it. He said, "I forgive you." So, yeah, of course, like you're very wise to hold a slot for, okay, this guy said, "I forgive you," and it's still probably gonna take him some time to kind of get back to, for our relationship to get back to homeostasis. I think that's really wise of you to acknowledge that. But he already said the words, "I forgive you." So I'm not saying like this guy's off the hook or you have no more work to do or anything left to work towards with him. But you're calling about these other friends that you originally blocked on this iMessage thread. For those who are just joining, we're talking with a caller who has been going through a lot for about 8 years. They're trans and a lesbian, and they were dealing with they were going through an identity crisis, it sounds like, about 8 years ago, and had some friends that inadvertently got alienated, and now the caller is dealing with some regret over how they handled certain things, and we're trying to just brainstorm with the caller on how these friends that they've alienated might be able to be brought back into a relationship, or at least that certain things might be able to be healed. So that's what we're in the middle of. And to you, the caller, I'm saying that, these friends that you rubbed the wrong way, you're all older now. These friends, you haven't heard the words from these friends, "I forgive you." You haven't had the chance to really put it to them what it was you were going through in a way that makes sense for you and them. You haven't had that chance yet. And so I'm wondering, like, what can we do to, I can't do anything, and Shaq can't do anything for sure. This is on you. But like, what is it? What ideas do we have here that could make it possible for you to reconnect with these people and heal some old wounds and set some things straight and, make certain confusing things clearer? And, it probably does begin with a text message. It probably does begin with a text message of some kind. You probably can't just you definitely don't just show up at their house. Even though we were saying earlier, like we were talking about how, this is probably not healed by a text message. It's probably healed face to face, ideally. You can't just show up at their house. So it probably does start with some kind of text message. If you really want to have a chance to explain to these people what it was you were going through and how you see it now, it probably does begin with some kind of text message and inviting them somewhere. Maybe you offer to buy them lunch or a coffee, or
college students, probably coffee.
Yeah. And I think you probably, maybe you do it one-on-one, so that each person can have their chance to tell you personally what it was their personal experience of that was. They might not feel comfortable sharing that in a group setting as easily as they would one-on-one. So it might take
and I don't
some time.
know how many of these people I'd even be able to track down at this point. or even like remember, because like dysphoria messes with a lot of your memories, and I just forget a lot of things from repression or whatever, I don't know. So
Right.
even just like coming up with a list of who all would have been in this iMessage group is hard enough for me, I feel like.
Does your buddy who kept in touch with you still have information on these people? Would he be able to reach out to them and say, hey, I don't know your name, so for the sake of this call, I'll just say so-and-so. Could your buddy call and say, hey, so-and-so has been harboring for years a lot of guilt and a lot of regret over how certain things were handled, and once would really love to have the chance to buy you a coffee. Is your friend the kind of person that could connect something like that, the one that you're still in touch with?
No.
No?
He was always kind of an outcast.
Okay.
I think part of why I like brought him in the way that I did, with like, him being the one person I hadn't blocked, I think I thought he was cool, and I wanted him to be part of the friend group, and that was my kind of like depression supervillain way of orchestrating that. But it didn't take so well. And there was a lot of drama that, kind of isolated him, and
Okay.
that's part of what he's having to process, is how much of that stems from the way that things started. But
Well,
I feel like I'm tangenting a
no,
little bit. What were we?
you're not tangenting. You're just, I'm asking questions, and you're continuing to prove how difficult this situation is. So it's becoming clearer now. Your challenge is that you made some, the way I imagine it feels for you from what you're saying is that you released this energy into the universe as a middle schooler with limited context, limited knowledge, limited experience. You released this energy into the universe that certain people experienced and were put off by. And now these people are dust in the wind, like you don't know where they are. And how do you even begin to clean this up? And
Yeah.
I think that's I get the dilemma now. I think that kind of a journey is a very different journey than the one I thought you were on. So I apologize if you felt I was being I was kind of lost there for a second, admittedly, but until you said that.
No, I'm it's a complicated situation, and I'm glad that we're kind of more on the same page now.
Yeah.
And like a big part of it really is like, how much does this matter to those people even? Because like,
well, it may.
We kind of, naturally drifted apart the way that friendships do, without this necessarily playing a giant factor in it, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
So it's like, am I overthinking this, and I'm going to show up and they're going to be like, oh yeah, it's fine, you're just in 8th grade, and like, or are they going to be like, no, yeah, I've been going to therapy for years about this, and it means so much to finally hear you apologize.
Well,
like, I just don't know where in that spectrum it's going to lie, Like, is this going to be some silly, pointless endeavor to them that I'm just making things awkward? Or...
Well, I think that you're right to assume there's going to be some chaotic response to it. If you were to run into each of these people tomorrow, I'm sure that each one of them would have something different to say. So I think you're right to predict there's some chaos involved with the outcome. But I think that the way, the extremes that you're going to in your head are probably due to the regret that you feel. You might be making this a little worse. Yeah, I'm using the word might. I don't know. All I know is what you're telling me. You might be it's possible. It at least seems probable to me, based on what I'm hearing, that you might be making this worse in your head than it actually is. But there's naturally going to be a lot of chaos in that kind of response. You're talking about, I think you said 8 different people. Is that right? 8 different people?
I don't think I said a number for it, but it's got to be 5 or 6.
5 or 6, okay.
Pretty close to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could have swore you used the number 8. Maybe I'm making it up. But, the point is that, yeah, everybody's going to bring their own perspective to that. But, I highly doubt anybody's in therapy. I mean, it's surely possible. But if somebody's in therapy over a friend of theirs threatening to self-harm 8 years after it happened, and, over this kind of a thing, I would imagine that is a very rare case. So it's my point is that it's probably very unlikely that these extremes you're going to in your head are realistic. It's probably more likely that a lot of people are confused. It's probably more likely that a lot of people didn't have are still maybe still wondering how you are. And so, what I'd like to encourage you with is
Jeffrey. Sorry.
What's that?
I was just singing "Oh Jeffrey" a little bit. Sorry.
Why?
I've been wondering how you've been. Seemed relevant to me.
Oh, did I say something that triggered that? You got to keep in mind, I'm sensitive to trolls here. I get a lot of trolls here, so I was thinking.
No. I was thinking,
is this a troll
were wondering how I've been.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
Hypothetical.
You freaked me out for a second.
Yeah.
I was like, this better not be a fake call. Yeah. So my point is that, what was my point? I apologize. That derailed me.
I'm sorry. I just derailed with a little.
No, it's okay. I'm trigger sensitive here towards trolls because I get so many people calling in. I had somebody calling in saying they had an Oedipus complex, and I had to toast them. I had to come to the decision to toast them in the middle of a call, and I made the right choice in hindsight because they came out later and said they were a troll. But that's kind of headspace I'm in when I'm on these calls. So I can't remember where we were.
Okay.
I apologize. It was with
You were saying that my expectations maybe aren't realistic.
That's it.
Like I was kind of talking about a worst case scenario where people are like still traumatized by whatever.
It's probably more likely that they're just still confused. They're probably still confused. And so where I was going to go with that was that I think the first step of this is forgiving yourself, and I wonder if you've done that.
Oh, I'm not sure because it's hard to find the line between forgiving yourself and repressing guilt. I think that before I had thought that I'd forgiven myself when really I was just ignoring what I'd done.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're harboring a lot of guilt, and you acknowledge that you were a kid when it happened and that you didn't have the life experience that you have now, and you'll only continue to gain more life experience. You're still 20, and don't forget you're 21. Like you'll when you're 50, you'll look back on being 21 and being like, I didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground. And I'm not even 50 yet, so I'm only using my imagination there. But I trust enough my friends who are 50 that look at me as a joke, and I'm like, okay, respect, So my point is that like that life experience continues. Like this forgiving yourself for past mistakes and past errors is a process that we probably carry to our grave. It's not. It's not just because you were in middle school. It's because you were younger, and as long as you're alive, you'll always have been younger.
It's just growing up, isn't it?
Yeah, and so even that forgiving yourself is a constant effort, and your friends won't. My hunch is that your friends won't be able to truly forgive you until you've forgiven yourself, because it's only once you've forgiven yourself, that is, it's only once you fully realize why it is you made the mistakes you did, why it is you felt the way you felt at the time. You didn't fully know why you felt the way you felt at the time, which is why you have these regrets, and it's not worth beating yourself up over. So my point is that until you forgive yourself, my hunch is that these friends that you've upset or confused are probably not going to have much of a slot for why they should forgive you. In other words, these people will need to see some kind of countenance shift or some kind of perspective shift or some kind of growth. And
Right.
maybe you
Something
never,
beyond just the years.
right, yeah. And maybe you never see these people again. But even more so important in that case that this begins with you forgiving yourself. Because if you forgive yourself, then you can begin releasing that you can begin manifesting that and releasing that energy into the universe. You can begin, creating a new thing, a new perspective, a new energy, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You can create a new path. And in time, maybe these people bump into you, or maybe they see a tweet of yours by chance, at some point in the future. Actually, it wouldn't be that much by chance that somebody could see a tweet of yours. If they were friends of yours at one point, some algorithm might detect that. There may be something to say about, I'm not saying that you go on Twitter and start virtue signaling, but there's something to say about, like, again, like just the core idea of forgiving yourself and beginning to radiate something new, in everything you do. And maybe that ends up, maybe in 20 years you end up connecting with all these people again, and they're like, wow, like you've come so far, like you're such a different person now than you were back then, and it may make perfect sense to those people at that time, without you having to use any words, just because you forgave yourself and because you started a new path, you put yourself on a new trajectory. And I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, but I do believe that forgiving yourself, once you realize what it is you wish you had done differently, no matter what it is, whether it's threatening self-harm or, deciding to not buy that last pack of cigarettes or whatever it is, forgiving yourself for being hard on yourself, or self-harming, or threatening to self-harm, that's the first step. Forgiving yourself doesn't come after everyone's forgiven you. I think it's much stronger to forgive yourself first and let people see that you've forgiven yourself and that you're on a new path now.
You're right. Can I ask you a question?
Anything, of course.
Do you think I'm wrong to view myself as an abuser?
Abuser of who?
Of all my friends that I blocked and then threatened self-harm to, and put through my whole nonsense.
Well, I haven't heard, I don't know you. I don't know your full story, and I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not here to diagnose people, but it's an interesting question. I would say, I wouldn't consider it abuse that you threatened to self-harm. I don't know how you did it, or what words you used, or what the relationship with these people was like. But I don't think, threatening to self-harm is a cry for help. I don't know if that sums up what I'm trying to say or not, but.
No, I hear you. And there's some honesty to that too, I think, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. That was just me knocking over a bunch of things.
It's okay. I don't know where my phone is in my own house.
That's the central question to me in all of this is.
Well, is there anything outside of that moment that you felt was abusive, or are you just questioning, was it abusive of me to threaten self-harm?
It was a prolonged, I feel like this whole friend circle was built around, my desperation for validation. Every night we'd stay up till midnight when we had to wake up at 6 for class the next day.
Right.
And it was just me being sad and sending links to a bunch of songs and being like, I'm so sad, this song is how I feel. And everyone would listen to the song and be like, wow, that's really sad.
Right.
And the whole friend group felt like it was built around me trying to not be depressed for a while. And that doesn't feel like a good relationship to have.
Well, I want to highlight something from the chat. There's been a few things I wanted to highlight, but I'm going to get to this one. LMI 101 says to you, I had a friend who would self-harm and ignore calls when she was in really sad times. It's never been something that has scarred me, and anyone can see you were a child. And then they go on to say, you were an innocent and confused child. And I think that's kind of what I'm saying, is that anybody that is still thinking about it now has the benefit of being older, just like you are. And I mean, you were in middle school. So yeah, like I don't know the full context of your relationship with these people. All I know is what you share here, which is why I'm trying to be honest, and I'm glad that that's coming through, that I'm just being real with.
No, yeah, I can feel places where you could have said like, no, you weren't abusive, like you're just a kid.
Because we don't want.
You were like, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I really appreciate that.
We don't want people to come in here and trauma dump. We don't want this to be a trauma dumping place, because that's not good for you. It's not good for the community. It's not good for anybody to trauma dump. We want to make this a place where people can call and get objective feedback. And if I were to just say, oh, like, no, like, you're fine to everybody, then like, I don't know you, like, we give you anonymity. I don't know who you are. I can't Google you. I don't know how you treat your friends, but like, based on what you're sharing, it sounds like, and if you want to share more, go ahead. Is there anything else beyond the threatening to self-harm because of the identity crisis you were in? Is there anything outside of that you thought was abusive? Or is it just that you were really lost and wanted to hurt yourself and wanted someone to know that you were in that much pain, and that you didn't know what else to do as a middle schooler? Because if it's that, then I'd say, no, I don't think that's abusive. I think you just didn't know any better. And now it sounds like you do, because you've got regret from it, and you wish you had done things differently. So no, I don't think it doesn't sound like I'm talking to an abuser. But all I know is what you've shared. So if there's anything else, we'd be all ears.
I mean, I just feel like that instance is kind of emblematic and representative of how a lot of those friendships were for most of their duration. I don't know. But like, maybe that's just because I'm talking about it right now, Maybe I'm just focusing on that part because that's what the conversation is about.
Right.
But I got to remember that there were joyous moments in those friendships too, moments of like genuine friendship and connection.
Right.
Rather than just desperation and pity.
Right. Chase Bates from the chat suggests that you took manipulative actions, but at that age, everyone is finding ways to navigate relationships. A manipulator would not feel this deeply regretful about doing so. I think there's a lot of truth and honesty in that comment, and that's kind of what I'm suggesting here. I mean, kids, take someone younger than middle school. Take a 5-year-old. 5-year-olds are incredible narcissists. Like, it's the parent's job to teach the 5-year-old not to be a narcissist. The 5-year-old will steal cookies and say their sister did it, and and they just don't. It's almost like you gotta. It's not that I believe that everyone has empathy pre-programmed in them, but you have to teach kids that they don't live in the damn wild, that they live in a community, that they live in civilization where trust is a thing, and we have to trust people. And if you can't trust someone, then all of this means nothing. You have to teach kids that, because civilization is not natural. And I think that's essentially that's going maybe too deep on what Chase Bates is saying, but that's exactly where my head is at in this call, is that like it sounds like it sounds like you didn't know any better. But now you do.
This is another chat message that I'm kind of having like dual reactions to,
Which one?
Because on the one hand,
the Chase Bates one?
Yeah, everybody has to make mistakes and learn.
Right, yeah.
But on the other hand, it doesn't feel right to say like everybody gets to be a little bit abusive when they're young.
I want to be very careful because I don't want to trigger you. I want to just reiterate that, and honestly, obviously, none of us here know you. None of us know the full. We only know what you're telling us. I try to read things from the chat because I don't want to. This works much better. This whole thing works much better if it's a community. And so I read things from the chat, and I try not to. I try to poke around a little bit because I don't know anybody I'm talking to. I don't know your name. I don't know where you live, and I don't want to know those things because I want you to feel safe to say whatever it is you need to say. And I also don't want you to feel attacked if we ask questions like that. And you're not the only caller I ask questions like that to. So I don't want you to feel targeted, is what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that, like, I can think of dozens of things I did in middle school that were horrible. I have a lot of regrets from middle school. I think a lot of people do. I think that's very normal. My bet is that when you're in your 30s or 40s, you will look back on this trauma that you feel and say, man, I wish I had forgiven myself sooner. And I'm not saying that you're carrying it too long. I'm saying that all of this is very normal and human, and that I think a lot of this stuff is very average. I think it's normal to look back on mistakes you made in middle school and say, if I had known then what I know now, how much would be better? Everybody asks that question. In fact, that's a huge song by Matt Works. If I can't remember the lyrics because it's actually kind of an obnoxious song, if I'm honest, but it's a huge song. If I knew then, I can't remember how the lyrics go. I try not to listen to it, but it's a huge song with those exact lyrics. It's a real point. So I'm not singling you out, and I don't believe Chase Bates intended to single you out. The point is that when we're in middle school, and especially, I can only imagine if you're in the middle of an identity crisis like the one you're describing in middle school. Middle school is already a huge identity crisis on its own, whether or not you're going through dysphoria. So I can only imagine how intense it was for you. I'm not singling you out. I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Can I vent about something that's kind of tangential here about how hard middle school was for me?
Sure. Briefly, I want to focus on these friends that you've got, but if it's relevant to that, I only say that because we have a 30-minute rule here on the calls that we've been trying out here.
Oh, right. How long have I been?
I don't even want to tell you because I don't want you to get in your head about that. I stayed on the call with you on purpose, so don't worry about the time. But share briefly about middle school, and then let's get back to your friends.
I had 2 gym classes a day for a semester, and that was horrid considering that I didn't know I was trans yet and was going through all of this repressed dysphoria about my body and comparing it to everybody else's and having to go in the locker room twice a day. And yeah, I remember getting hit on the face with a dodgeball on my birthday. That was Anyway, back on topic.
See, you were in middle school, right? I bet that kid thinks about that even to this day. I bet that kid is regretting that right now. That they threw a dodgeball at someone's face on their birthday. That's pretty messed up.
Probably.
We all do. That's the point. I'm not singling you out in any of this. I hope you understand that.
Thank you, little boy who didn't realize he was a girl. Didn't know why everything felt so wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right, though. There's so many things that I just didn't know back then. And I've got to forgive myself for not knowing. I got to know that if I could go back in time, I would slap myself silly, except I wouldn't because I would have been a child. And that would be really messed up.
Illegal. Illegal to slap yourself? That's a interesting inquiry.
I would have yelled at myself. I would have been like, you fool. Everything feels wrong because you're actually a woman, and you don't have the words to know or understand that yet. But that's why every time you hear about anything that bends gender, you get that exciting tingle in your belly. That's why. Because it's a sign that it's possible for you to have what you don't know you want.
Right.
And I gotta have that same attitude towards myself with this other stuff, where it's like, I would do that if I could, but I can't. And I never can, because that's not how time works. I don't know if that made any sense, but
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I want to come back to the idea that a lot of this, I think, is developmental. A lot of this is, no, I want to be very clear. You've got some very specific experiences that you're going through, like being trans, being lesbian, and experiencing dysphoria, that a lot of people don't know what it's like to experience. They don't know what that experience is like, a lot of people. And so there's a large element of this that is not purely age or developmental. But the regret that you feel and all of that is very developmental, I'd say. And I'm trying to draw a distinction between those two so that you can begin to forgive yourself.
It's a different flavor of the same drink.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I don't know why that's the metaphor I came up with.
Yeah, I think it works. However, it helps you to see it. But I don't want you to... I mean, again, I can only imagine what it's like to go through what you've been through on the dysphoria of all of this. So I'm using my imagination to go here into this place with you. But again, what I'm hearing is that the regret, that's normal. Everybody feels regret. Everybody looks back on their childhood self and is like, man, I was an asshole, or I was an idiot, or I was a moron, or I did something stupid, or man, I wish I hadn't done 10 different things. I can think of 20 different things I wish I hadn't done easily. I don't have a list, but I'm sure there's 20 things. And so I'm just trying to help you distinguish between those two things, because I sense that there's this bowl of spaghetti you're in, and you're confused, like which strand is which, and I don't know what end is up. And I feel pretty confident in saying that you got a strand here that's just some normal developmental regret, and you got to learn to forgive yourself for that. And then you got all this other stuff that maybe these friends that you had in middle school, maybe they can't relate with all the dysphoria. Who knows? Maybe some of them can now. Maybe some of them have gone through it now in the last 8 years.
I know at least one of them. I ran into them working at Target, and they said, "Hey, I want to text you about gender stuff because you're the one trans person I know, and I'm questioning some things."
There you go.
That's one of the people that was in the group chat, and I haven't had any follow up on that. But
there you go. Well,
yeah,
I think this is all very good. I think this is all, very healthy, as long as you can learn to forgive yourself and move past it, and not be afraid to press forward confidently in your own life. Like, forgiving yourself looks like moving forward with confidence. It doesn't look like saying, "Oh man, I wish I hadn't done these things. I forgive myself, but I'm just going to be super careful now. I'm going to be like so careful." Forgiving yourself is like, "Man, I was an idiot then. I really wish I hadn't done those things. I'm going to make every effort I can to mend any relationships that I ruined, or bridges that I burned, or people that I hurt. I'm going to do everything I can to do that." But it doesn't look like living with that regret after you've forgiven yourself. It looks like plowing forward with confidence and not looking back. And I think it's really awesome that we've been able to have this conversation the way that we have. I'm really glad that we didn't trigger you with any of the poking around that we did, but we do it because we care, and I hope you see that.
No, I absolutely get that. I've been to enough therapy to know you got to ask questions and answer them if you want answers of your own.
That's right.
So,
Are you in
much.
our Discord server?
I am, yeah. I'll drop a message here in a few minutes.
Okay, great. Yeah, try not to give up your identity. Maybe don't do it tonight. We try to encourage people in the Discord to remain anonymous, but also it's a great place to get accountability and give updates. We try to encourage not to have people reveal their identities in there in case people don't want this call being attributed to them later in life. So, we ask that you use discretion there, but it would be great to hear some kind of update of some kind, or you can call back here and say, hey, you can call back here anytime you want and say, hey, I was a return caller. You can tell us the episode number if you want, because there's no identity here. It's strictly anonymous, so call back anytime, or
Okay.
use some of the anonymous channels we have in the Discord, or however you want to do it is fine. But yeah, thanks for calling in and for sharing the way that you did, and we're wishing you the best. Call again anytime.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, chat. And hey, while it's still technically Pride Month, happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride. Take care, caller.
You too.
Good night. All right, guys. Beautiful call. Thank you, chat, for all the thoughts. That caller is going to have so much to go through in the chat. So many different thoughts. Really awesome to see that. Thank you guys for being there for that caller in that way. All right, lines are opening again. Here we go. Hi, thanks for calling.
All right, lines are opening again.
Hello?
Here we go.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling. Can you turn your speakers down? Hello, hello?
Oh, can you turn your speakers down?
Toast. All right, guys, I'm toasting people that aren't ready to turn their speakers down. We're just trying to move fast. There's a bunch of people calling in. They were calling in until I answered that call. Everybody hung up. Please, if you're calling in, be ready to turn your speakers down. I would recommend putting your speaker, not having me on speakerphone on your phone, because from what I've experienced on doing this stream, if I'm on speakerphone and you got the speakers on in the background, you're not going to hear me on the phone. So put the phone up to your ear and be ready to turn your speakers off. We're trying to move fast. There's people calling in. Here we go. Hi, thanks for calling. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey there.
What is on your mind?
Well, so wow.
Actually, can I start over?
My girlfriend
Can I start over? Can you introduce yourself with? Can you tell us your age? Don't tell us your name or where you're from.
Yeah.
No names,
Yeah.
no locations. But can you tell us your age and then about why you're calling?
Yeah, I'm 25. And I'm calling just because I've been struggling with something kind of internally that's coming up but not quite here yet. I'm been in a relationship with this girl since I was a junior in high school. We're both high school sweethearts, been together it'd be 8 years this July 21st.
Wow.
And she is originally from Sweden, and
Oof.
kind of.
Hey, no locations, please. No locations, please.
Sorry. Shit, that's just.
That's a toast. Sorry, guys. That's a toast. Please, no locations, guys. That's a toast. Sweden's a pretty small country, too. Might have been different if you'd said America. Okay. I hope everybody understands why I had to toast that person. Caller, to the person I just toasted, please call again. I won't recognize the numbers. I can't count the number of calls that come in here each time we do this. So please call again, and no locations, no names, and we'll talk as long as you need to. I really hate to toast like that. Gosh, that feels horrible every time. Okay, lines are opening again. Just so everybody knows, we do that for you in case you share something that might implicate someone else or that you might regret you said 5 years later. And we do that to ruthlessly protect you. And also so that everyone here knows that we'll do the same to every person. There are some difficult toasts here, admittedly. That was one of them. Taking the next call. Hi, thanks for calling. Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well.
Check,
Can you
check.
hear me okay?
I got you. You got me?
Hi, how's it going?
I'm all right. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. I didn't think I'd be doing this. I'm 29.
All right.
Actually going to be turning 30 on Sunday.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I suppose just to give a brief summary.
Man, that's a big birthday coming up. You got the 30 coming up, man. Sorry, I'm assuming you're a man. I don't know how you identify. Yeah, but happy 30th birthday.
Thank you. So, all my life, all I ever wanted to do was serve in the military. And, my family had in the past, and I worked for it and worked for it and worked for it, and I did it. I made it, and I made it to the Army, and when I was on leave, shortly after I completed all of my training and went out to my unit, I came back home, and my stepfather had committed suicide, and I had seen it.
And you saw it.
At that time, I had to be, strong for my mom. She was obviously hysterical, and for my little sister. But 2 days later, I got sent back to what's called MEPS, which is your processing station for medical and all that. Did a psych evaluation and said that it was looking like low-intensity post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was unfit to serve any longer. So I basically had my whole future taken from me, and I tried to live with that, and I have for all these years, 12 years about dealing with this, and working, trying to have good relationships, but it's hard, Often I don't sleep more than 3-4 hours a night, and it sucks. Like, I get tired of being crazy. I get tired of feeling this way. The nightmares are terrible, and I just want to feel normal again, but I have no aspirations, no dreams, no interests in life or anything like that. And to be completely honest with you, the only thing that kept me from following in my stepfather's footsteps was the fact that somebody would have to find me and I would give this to somebody else. So I carry on with this burden that is mine, and it's really hard sometimes. It's so hard.
Did you say that you saw the suicide happen, or did you say that you found your father? What was that? I missed that.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. What was that?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Did you mention earlier that you saw your the suicide happen, or that you found your father after? Or I apologize for asking that clarity on that, but I didn't catch that part when you said that.
I was hanging out with some friends. I got a phone call saying that I need to get home, and saw police and fire trucks and all that all over the place, and they told me that I need to get the dogs out of the backyard, because if one of the dogs bit one of the officers, we'd be liable. And the dogs were sitting at the base of a tree and looking up, and my natural reaction was to look up. I had no idea what was going on.
And this was your father or your stepfather?
My stepfather.
I see. I imagine that this wasn't just any stepfather relationship. A lot of stepfather relationships, step-parent relationships in general, can be very difficult or complicated. Sounds like you were really close with your stepfather.
I don't know that it was so much that I was close with him as 2 years prior, my father took his own life, my biological father. It was kind of not again.
I see. So, wow. My goodness. So, yeah, you got some PTSD from that. That was 12 years ago that your stepfather did that?
Yes.
What does that feel like 12 years later? Does it feel like 12 years have passed? Does it feel like it was just yesterday?
Some days it feels like it's been 12 years. Other days it feels like it was just a moment ago.
That makes sense. I'm so sorry for both of those losses. I don't know what that's like. I can only use my imagination. Of course, it makes sense that you would develop PTSD from that. I'm really sorry to hear about all of this. I mean, that's horrible. You know, the one thought that's coming to me right now is that you, and I want to hear more of your story and more about what the experience feels like and where you are now. But I just want to say that it's really unfair, the burden that you've had to carry for these 12 years. And the journey that you're on is, from what it sounds like, one that you will be pioneering, because suicide is, I mean, you're 29, you know, you're I don't know how old were your father and stepfather when they died. I imagine they had a lot of life left to live, and that this was a total shock. I imagine that they weren't like super old or anything. Is that the case?
No, they weren't. My father was in his 50s, and my stepfather was in his late 40s.
Right. So, I mean, the burden, it's got to, I imagine it feels heavy. I mean, what is it? I actually want to spare what I was going to say. I want to hear more I want to hear more from you before I say what I was about to say. I want to hear more about your story, because I was going to go somewhere, but I think it'd be better to hear from you first. I'm feeling the need to encourage you, and I think that some encouragement can come from this call, but I think it'd be better to hear more about your current situation. Are you working? Have you found new work? You mentioned that you lost your military career due to PTSD after this happened. Have you found new work? Do you have a family of your own? What's your current situation?
Well, when I was discharged, obviously I needed to work, so I went and got the first job I could find. That was a dishwasher, and I've basically been in restaurants this entire time since. I'm a cook now, but I hate it. I can't stand it. You know, I feel like there was a time in my life where I enjoyed cooking, like coming up with new recipes or things that I'd like to eat or whatever, but it feels hollow, and it feels like this was just kind of a rebound job after everything that I've dreamed for and worked for my whole life, and having that all just taken from me. And for a long time, I thought that my father and my stepfather, I thought they were cowards to do this to their child, their stepchild. But as time has gone on, as the weight has gotten heavy, I get it. I get it.
Right.
I know in my heart that I will never take my own life, because I will never give this to anybody else. But it just really sucks that somebody had to give it to me.
Right. Are you married? Do you have kids?
I'm not. No. I've been in a 8-year-long relationship, though.
Okay. How is your partner in all of this? Is your partner good for you in light of this loss? Are they? I mean,
I
Yeah,
mean,
you have to go through that to understand it, of course, but how are they able to be there for you? Are they a good support for you? That kind of stuff.
she's been fantastic, honestly. In that, she oftentimes, if like new things come out that like everybody's watching something like Game of Thrones or any of that, like she'll watch it ahead of time and then watch it again with me just in case there's something there that might trigger me or set me down that dark mental path. Like she looks out for me in those senses. And I genuinely feel horrible for her because there are some things about my personality that are just gone. And there have been times where I have not been so great to her, where I lack the understanding or the empathy for things that she's going through in her life or anything like that. And it's been toxic at times, but, just like with this condition, I just try to live every day to be stronger than the day before and to be better than the day before.
Right. What did you do in the military?
I was a medic.
Medic. And how long were you a medic for?
Not very long.
So you got the dream.
I got through all of my training and got to my unit and did very little before everything happened.
So you got the dream and then it was ripped away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really sorry to hear about all this. I'm thinking of the story of Job. Not sure if you're familiar with that story or not. One of the best stories from the Old Testament about loss and confusion and perseverance, and a beautiful story. You don't have to be religious to appreciate that story. It's a beautiful story. I'm wondering if you're familiar with that story.
I'm not, actually.
Okay. I don't want to sugarcoat anything because, and I also want to, I respect you too much. And also this is not a place where we sugarcoat anything. I mean, you're going through a lot, and this is an intense account. The chat, I haven't heard anybody in the chat so far. I might have missed something, but it doesn't seem like anyone, it seems like the chat is with me, that we're all using our imaginations to imagine what this experience must be like for you. And I'd say that you're very brave for making it these 12 years through the experience you've described the way that you have. It seems badass that you've gotten through all of this. I can tell that through the words you've chosen and the story that you've shared that you are serious about what you said, that you're not going to give this burden to someone else. And I think that's amazing. It's inspiring. It's badass. And it's just so incredible that so many people who lose things like that, their career, their parents, it becomes, a lot of people find that way too heavy and are way more lost than it seems like you are. And so I'm trying to commend you that you've walked the tightrope you've walked. I wonder what is it that outside of not wanting to give the burden to someone else, is there anything positive in your life that inspires you to you mentioned you want to be better than you were yesterday. Every day you want to wake up better than you were yesterday. I'm wondering what is it that you read, or what is it that you practice, or what is it that you think that is like a positive thing that is behind that. It sounds like it's not just that you don't want to give the burden to someone else. Of course, I imagine that's a huge variable too, but I hear some positivity in what you're saying, and I'm wondering where that comes from.
Well, I mean, in the military, once you graduate basic training and stuff like that, they don't say you need to man up anymore, right? They say you're a soldier already. Now you need to ranger up. And I keep telling myself that, just ranger up, just keep going. And yeah, I suppose there are some benefits to living with this. While I am perpetually tired and unable to get a good night's sleep, but once in a blue moon, I have a lot of time on my hands. And funny enough, when I got out, the first job that I got was a dishwasher, and nobody that I worked with spoke English. Everybody spoke Spanish. And I very quickly needed to learn Spanish, and I have successfully done that. But, people think that it's, commendable that, you learn Spanish and all this, but really it was just a necessity. And I think I just look for more necessities, things that I need to keep going for. No, I don't want to give this to anybody else, and I never will. And I'm very, very diligent in that. Like, this is my burden, and I refuse to give it to anybody else because it's hard. But I keep going for her. She's everything.
That's beautiful. Man, you sound like you would make an amazing father. Do you want kids?
I do, but it scares the crap out of me.
No, it's terrifying.
I can't imagine,
most,
based on my fraternal experiences, that
right. That's
I'd be full on the deep end.
No way. You saw too much within your father and your stepfather that you've already defied. You've already withstood that. You've already committed to yourself that you're not going to follow down that path, that you're not going to make those mistakes. You've already overcome the curse that your father and your stepfather lived under. You haven't, I fully acknowledge that you still wrestle with, I'm aware you shared earlier that you still struggle with the thoughts, but you told me that you've already committed that you'll never do that to yourself because you don't want to give that burden. You don't want to pass that burden on. And you've used, I asked you where the positivity I heard comes from, and you said, you just tell yourself to ranger up. And that's badass, man. That's so amazing. That is, I asked the question about having kids, not because I want to, it's actually, I don't even know if I've ever asked that question on this show. But, you are, what I'm hearing here is a very special person. I hear a very special person on the line. And you have seen so many things that most people don't have a slot for. You were military, no matter for how long or short it was. You got there. You got the gig. You got the dream you wanted. And then the unexpected happened, and you then saw the dream fade away. And I want to pause there for a second and say that we don't. A lot of people call in here having things stripped away from them. It's very few cases are as extreme as yours. Of course, you've seen a lot is what I'm acknowledging. I'm not trying to stress you out in saying that. I'm just acknowledging that you've seen a lot. And, what I'm hearing is that you not only went through all that training to get into the military, but you have, it seems, successfully reintegrated as a civilian. You've picked up work that needed to be done, even though it's not your favorite, even though you don't like it. It sounds like you don't love it. But, we don't know what life is going to serve us. We never know. And a lot of people call in here and we have a lot of conversations on this stream about that same theme, even though yours is, the volume knob is turned up a lot on yours. You know, life is full of chaos, and the beautiful stories are those who find some order that they can wrangle within the chaos. And that is what I'm acknowledging when I say I hear a beautiful person on the line here talking about overcoming some really serious stuff. And I'm using that word overcome intentionally because you said you'd committed to that. And I'm kind of going in some weird tangents here to get to the point about what I said about kids. I'm glad I said it because I can tell that that's something it sounds like something you've thought about, but that you're terrified of. You know, kids are the scariest thing and the most rewarding, beautiful thing there is. It's the hardest thing and the most amazing thing all at once. It's, and the harder of an experience you've had with your own parents or your own life journey, kids, I'd imagine, I only know my experience to draw from on this, but I'd imagine from the friends I have who have kids, it seems like people who have really stable lives, parenting is just like, it's just what you do. And then people who've gone through some trauma or gone through some extreme experiences, parenting becomes like this really scary thing, and increasingly so depending on how scary your life has been. And I relate with that part of it. Of course, I can't relate fully with you because I don't know what it's like to have a parent commit suicide. I know what it's like to lose things. I know what it's like to, I know what, I believe I've not been properly diagnosed, but I've been loosely diagnosed with a subsect of PTSD, not full-on PTSD. So I believe I have some sort of PTSD. But, you know, I don't know what it's like to be military. I don't know what it's like to have a parent take their own life. And parenthood is scary to me. But do you want kids was my question. I imagine that would be the most rewarding thing for you to give. And I'm not trying to push kids onto you in this call. I stopped here because I hope you don't mind I'm asking these questions. Is this okay?
No, not at all.
Do you want kids? Like, outside of being terrified of it.
I do.
I think you'd be an amazing
one day.
father. I think you'd be an amazing father because you've already done the work to make sense of what it is your fathers were thinking when that went through their mind. You said you understood it, and you said you'll never do it. And that is this is now coming back full circle to what I was going to say at the beginning before I asked for more context. I was going to say that you're carrying a really tall glass of water because you got this pressure on you to keep going, and it's also this beautiful thing because you have already matured further than your fathers did, and it's because of the things that you've lost. It took you losing those things to get there. I'd say inside, it feels like I'm talking to a 50-year-old on the phone, you know, the way you're talking. And you know, the point is that the journey you're on is a thankless journey. It's a thankless task that you're doing to wake up every day better than yesterday. And no one's going to thank you for doing that except yourself and maybe your partner. But it's so beautiful because that's what life is about. Life is about waking up tomorrow better than you were yesterday, no matter if you've experienced some deep trauma or if you grew up as with everything being peachy keen. In fact, a lot of people grow up peachy keen, no problems, money in the bank. Some kids are like YouTube celebrities by the age of 8 and they've already retired. Like some kids, like on the surface seems like they have no problems. A lot of these people end up later in life full of regret because they didn't have to really try early on. And I hear the voice on the phone of somebody who's had to try for a long time to make sense of their surroundings and to keep going. And I hope it makes sense what I'm trying to say, but I just think you're amazing.
appreciate that, Julian.
What you shared tonight is
Still
amazing.
trying.
I think it's beautiful. Somebody from the somebody from the chat said kids are pretty whack. I couldn't say it better myself. They're pretty whack. In fact, I called 5-year-olds narcissists earlier. I'm probably going to take some heat for that.
Yeah, I heard that.
What is it that would make this a good call? I kind of took some liberties there. I hope those were okay in asking some very personal questions, but I felt they were relevant. What would make this a good call?
I'm going to be honest with you, Julian. I think this is a fantastic call. I don't expect anybody to have the answers. It's why therapy's never been the thing for me, because I can't expect anybody to be able to relate to what I've seen or what I've had to deal with, to climb to the top of the mountain and then have the mountain crumble under you. But I suppose if I could say anything to you and your chat would be, it's not about moving on. There's never a moving on.
Right.
It's about carrying on. You carry that weight with you. You go.
That's
right. You can't stop. You have to go.
That's right. I want to encourage you to read the story of Job. I'm not sure your religious affiliation, or if you even have one. It doesn't even matter. I'm not very religious with anything, but the story of Job is a beautiful story that you might consider reading. It's in the Old Testament. It's the book of Job from the Old Testament. It's a short book from the Old Testament. Beautiful story about loss and perseverance. It's thousands of years old, and people are still reading it for a reason. It's not, it talks about, it gets a little philosophical, but, what doesn't get philosophical if it's in a book? It's a beautiful story. I think you might really benefit from reading that story. And maybe not. I mean, you're 12 years past a lot of this, so maybe, I don't know honestly what you'll glean from it, but the story of Job is a story about loss and perseverance and redemption. So if any of those three descriptions sound interesting, then check out the story of Job.
Three great words. I'll check it out as soon as we get off the call.
All right, there you go. It's a short book. You might even be able to read it tonight, depending on where you live. Don't tell us where you live. I'm wishing you the best. Is there anything else you want to say or share or talk about before we end the call?
No, Julian, I think I've about hit my limit, my friend, and
right.
I just really appreciate you listening.
I'm really glad you called in tonight. Thanks for calling. Thanks for sharing. You're amazing. Can we send you off with some applause? Because it's like you've already done a lot of this work. Will it embarrass you if we send you off with some applause?
Not at all.
Take care of yourself and call back again anytime.
Thanks, man.
Good night. Man, that guy's inspiring as hell. Amazing. Incredible. Okay, guys, we have about 23 minutes left in tonight's stream. Gonna open up these lines again, and let's see what we get into. Hi, thanks for calling. Hello? Hello, hello? Can you hear me? I can hear myself through your phone.
So just wait, just sit there real quick.
Toast. Next call. Hi, thanks for calling. Hello?
Hello?
Hi. Thanks for calling.
Hey, man, I actually was going to give a status update. I called in like a month ago and talked to you for a while.
Okay.
I don't remember which live stream it was. I told you about, I guess, relationship stuff and family stuff. I think in the video description you said like religious trauma.
Okay. You're going through some religious trauma. Can you say anything else to
Yeah,
jog our memory?
um, you recommended a book for me, which I still haven't gotten around to reading. I've kind of gone down a different rabbit hole, but just Leaving the Fold is the name of the book. I do have it saved.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Marlene Monell. Amazing book.
Yes, yes. I don't know. I guess when I last called in, my head was kind of spinning, and I feel like I kind of just like dumped everything on you. So I apologize if I was kind of all over the place the last time I talked to you.
No problem. I actually can't quite place the call, honestly, from your voice. Your voice is a little masked in my ears here, so into the chat. So and a lot of people call in with religious trauma. So what's the update? Let's get to the is it a good update, or you got another issue, or what's the deal?
Good update. I mean, when I last called in, I was like between jobs, and the last job I had was rough, and I was just dealing with kind of a lot of different things all at once. And I think I told you about some things that happened with my ex that was in the hospital a while, and it was about a year ago now. So I was kind of just dealing with just remembering everything that happened, and I guess I had never really faced it until I had called in that night. Like I really hadn't talked to anybody else about it all that much.
Did we have a good call, or did we confuse the hell out of you?
No, it was a good call. I think I was already confused, and I needed somebody to talk to, and between you and the chat, like I felt like I was heard, and like I could kind of start making sense out of it. Actually, what really has helped me make sense out of it, and I think you even mentioned her in one of these live streams recently, was Dr. Ramani's channel.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
She really is. I've watched like almost every video on that channel, and there's like hundreds, so I'm sure not all of them, but like that's kind of the rabbit hole I've gone down the past month, is just learning about narcissistic relationships, and I'm realizing that the dynamic that my family had and the dynamic I had with not all of my friends, but more than one of my friends growing up was not a healthy one. I kind of recognize them as different. And you just said in one of the other calls, like, most kids are narcissistic.
I'm not going to live it down, am I?
Yeah.
It's kind of true, though.
I mean,
it's kind of true.
You're not wrong. Like, I think...
Thank you.
Yeah, like, it's kind of something you grow out of. Most people grow out of. And
right.
I don't feel like everyone does. Like, clearly there's some people that still act like that as adults, and there's different levels, and I don't know.
And what do we call them? We call them big babies.
Say it again?
Sorry, this line, I think when it only allows one voice through at a time, maybe. I don't know. I was just joking. I was making a joke that, and what do we call those people? We call them big babies.
Yeah. I mean, and like, it is kind of funny in like the way that they act sometimes, like when they're acting just very childish. Like it's kind of entertaining, or like you can almost laugh it off until it becomes just like really bad,
dangerous,
and yeah. I don't know. I've been doing a lot better lately. I think last time I called in, I was just not sleeping. The last caller was talking. I haven't been through anything like what he was talking about, but like just haven't been through some stuff and not being able to sleep. Like you really just can't think straight anymore.
Right. So what's the update that you're calling about, or what is that you wanted to share here?
Yeah, I guess I wanted to share that I found Dr. Romney's channel, and that has helped me a lot. The new job I've had, the people there are a lot less narcissistic than some of the jobs that I've had, or at least like the supervisor I have now is not a narcissist, and I feel like, treats everybody he works with respect, and I'm like, that has helped a lot.
You got a new job. Is that right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Great. So you escaped some narcissists and you got a new job.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's applaud that.
I feel like I get really anxious at new jobs for a while, or like any new social situation, and I feel like this job is the fastest I've ever felt like comfortable with the people that I work with.
Great to hear. That's amazing.
I don't know what that means, but yeah.
It means you're not surrounded by narcissists, it sounds like.
I mean, I guess I'm talking to my family. I don't know. I'm trying to find a balance between like letting them in too much and just kind of keeping things safe for my own, mental health.
Are your family narcissists? Or is there a narcissist in your family, or?
Yeah, I guess I'm still trying to understand. I know my mom is. I kind of feel like my dad is. I guess I know just like some of the things that happened would definitely qualify as narcissistic abuse.
Okay.
I feel like my dad was very just cruel and condescending, and I feel like he leaned more bipolar than narcissist. Like, he just have a bad day at work, or my mom would treat him like shit, and then he'd take it out on us, or specifically me. I'm the oldest of three, so I feel like I would try to protect my siblings from him, and I would usually get the brunt of it. So I don't know how much of that is narcissism and how much of it is just like, I don't know, him being bipolar, which I was also diagnosed with bipolar depression.
Okay. I do vaguely remember this call. You,
Okay.
both your parents having some kind of mental disorder, and you were being, you had been suffering from some kind of bipolar, and the religion stuff. I do vaguely remember this. So my question is, did we talk about medium chill on that call?
Yes, you did mention that.
Have you looked into that?
Not really. Like I said, I've just been watching his videos on Dr. Ramani's channel.
Okay.
I need to find, I guess, like more resources to help. Like, now that I understand what it was, I feel like I can avoid it in the future, but I still feel like I have to find a way to heal from just everything. Like, she talks a lot about like ruminating over the stuff that you've been through, and I feel like that's all I'm doing. Like, I can't fall asleep at night. I just keep like having flashbacks to things that happened, and I don't know, it seems like I'm just stuck in the past, and I want to just move on and forget about it, but that's just,
How old are you?
really hard. 28.
28. Yeah, you probably got a lot of memories at the age of 28. Makes sense why you'd be ruminating. A lot of maybe bad experiences that you're not sure why they happened. I know Dr. Ramani has a lot of great videos on rumination. There's other good videos on YouTube about rumination as well. The world is, I've struggled with some rumination in the past. The world is full of chaos, and we don't always get closure on the stuff that we experience. And if you're dealing with narcissists or people with mental disorders, then it's highly likely you'll never get closure on those things. And some people spend their whole lives ruminating because of that. I don't know if that thought helps you, but it really helps me to think of it that way, in terms of just like, yeah, the world's full of chaos, and good people, healthy people, I should say, know how to recognize when they're contributing to that chaos and how to make amends and apologize and move on, or whatever you want to call it. And narcissists just simply can't. And not singling out narcissists, other people can't too. It's a lot of people with mental disorders don't have that ability to, or capacity to go through life in that way. And so it's a hard baton for you to carry forward. But for me, it really helps to just see it all as this chaotic picture, like a Picasso or something. It's like, is that a nose? Is that an ear? I can't tell what that is. And it's just like, well, it doesn't matter. It's a Picasso.
It is what it is.
Yeah. And I don't know if that thought helps you, but it's helped me sometimes in dealing with some rumination. Of course, I don't think I can. I'm not here to fix anyone, nor do I think I can, let alone on a short call. But I hope that thought gives you something to chew on. And I'm also going to encourage you to look more into medium chill. I'll repeat 2 recommendations from the call it sounds like I made that sounds like they'll still be valuable. Research medium chill. If you're still struggling with some boundaries in the relationship, or even just having a relationship that feels good, moving more towards a medium chill type relationship can be a great solution. Of course, going medium chill is really, really difficult. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it's even harder than going no contact, because when you're no contact, you don't have to say anything. Going medium chill is way harder. Generally people try medium chill before going no contact to see if there's any relationship possible. And I've gone medium chill with people and then gone back to fully functional relationships. And I've had the opposite experience where I go medium chill with people and have gone no contact with, a small number of people. But medium chill, I think would be great for you to look into. And then also leaving the fold. I'm going to say that again. Since you mentioned, I think you should definitely read that book. It's short. It's a very short book. I don't think there's an audiobook, sadly, but great book.
Is medium chill, is it like similar to gray rocking?
Not familiar with that term, gray rocking. Sounds like it might be.
Dr. Romney uses it a lot.
Okay.
I guess she would classify me as a truth teller child, or was a truth teller child. So like I didn't have the term narcissist, and I didn't understand all the dynamics, but I understood it enough to like basically call my parents out on it, or call my mom out on it, I should say.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at Gray Rock. It does look like a substitute for medium chill. Let me look here. Medium.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like I innately just gray rocked when I was little and got kind of stuck in gray rocking, because that was the only way to not become their scapegoat, was to just gray rock them.
Right. Okay, so it seems like gray rocking is more from like the 12 seconds of research I've done here. It seems like gray rocking is more of an inadvertent response that kids tend towards when they're growing up with a narcissist, whereas medium chill is like a decision you make as an adult. I could be wrong about that, but I'm looking this up right now. I'm looking up.
No, that's fair. I don't know. I guess it was kind of intuitive, but at the same time, it did feel like I made a choice to do that. I don't know. Like, and then I did eventually wind up going no contact after it seemed like I had exhausted all other options, because I tried, speaking my mind. I tried standing up for myself, and that definitely didn't work. So it was just like, okay, I'm just going to have, keep you at arm's length kind of a relationship. Like I remember being in like elementary school, basically making that decision about my parents. So I was just going to keep them at arm's length and not really share anything.
Well, I could be wrong in my understanding. I could be wrong in my understanding, but there's certainly, no matter what words you're using, there's certainly a difference between having a medium chill attitude when you're someone's dependent versus when you're not someone's dependent. So when you're living with your parents, you can only medium chill so much, is I guess the point. And I'm guessing that's the distinction with gray rocking. I could be wrong, but that's what it seems like on again 12 seconds of research, guys. This is 12. This is what I pulled up in 12 seconds. maybe a minute now, since I've been reading this for a little bit. But yeah, I'm not honestly sure, to be honest. Never heard that term until you just said it.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bunch of terms that I've been learning from this channel.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, if you're growing up with two parents that might have a mental disorder, it might this might be a lifelong journey. This is probably not something that's going to get figured out quickly. But I'm glad to hear some really positive updates from you, that you've taken steps towards creating a better work environment for yourself. I mean, that's amazing. Good for you. I mean, that must have been hard, but that's amazing. Good for you. And I'm wishing you the best on carrying on with your parents. I don't like to, I have never and will never encourage someone to go no contact with someone, especially on this show, because it's a really serious and personal decision. I would have to know someone pretty well to suggest that they consider that, or to take that as a recommendation. But considering it, if you're being mistreated, I mean, these are things, medium chill or no contact, like you can't just sit there and continue to be abused, but only you know where that line is. So I'm glad that you're open to looking into some of these things, and you'll have to make those decisions. No one can make them for you. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I guess it's hard to go medium chill or keep people at arm's length when I've just been kind of lonely lately. Like I live in an area that, I don't know, right now there's not many people in town, so it's just like very quiet, and I have like these coworkers I've been talking to, but they are a lot older than me. I told you I'm 28. They're all like 40s or 50s. So I'm like, they're nice people, but I wouldn't like hang out with them outside of work. I don't know. Like, it just feels kind of weird. Like, I feel like the young guy.
Well, you attract older people. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. You're an old soul.
Well, I don't know. Like, they all play golf, and I'm like, I have nothing against golf. I guess I would try it, but I know I would suck at
it. That's how I feel about golf. In fact, I know I suck at golf. I've tried. I take my kids to Topgolf just for giggles and burning hours, and I'm like the worst one there. I'm so embarrassed every time I go. I'm like, I have the audacity to walk into a Topgolf having no form and having 3 kids. I'm digressing here. But yeah, I think, we were talking about your parents and the dynamics. I mean, of course, a lot of this it sounds like you got a lot of reading to do, so I'm not really sure where to take this until you know more about how you feel about the current relationship and how it impacts you. And so I want to encourage you to call back after you've read into some medium chill stuff and read about leaving the at least look into reading The Fold. I think I sent you the Goodreads link in that chat.
Yeah, you did.
So you could look at that description before you buy it if you want. But it's a super short book, and it's not very expensive. So I mean, yeah. I feel pretty confident in saying you should consider reading it. Did we talk about Should I Stay or Should I Go from Dr. Ramani, that book? I feel like we did.
I don't think I even mentioned Dr. Ramani back then. I mean, I don't know if I did or not.
I think it sounds like I might have.
I think I talked to you. Okay.
Is that why you checked out her YouTube channel? I talk about her YouTube channel a lot here. I must be her biggest. She should be paying me. I talk about her YouTube channel all the time. How many books have we sold for Dr. Ramani, I wonder? But yeah.
She just started a podcast today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I listened to the first episode. It was really good.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so
you guys collab at some point.
I've been thinking about it. I've been considering. I'm probably going to reach out to her. Spoiler alert. Yeah, I love her so much. I'm going to ask her to marry me. Dr. Ramani, I know you're married. Will you marry me too? I'm going to put this link in the chat for you. This is her book, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Amazing book. It's about breaking up with a narcissist, so don't be fooled by the artwork.
Yeah.
It's helpful in all kinds of... Oh, Easy Cheesy's already on it. If you look for Easy Cheesy, one of the mods here, he's already got the link. Thank you, Easy. You're on it. he just sent the Goodreads. So, yeah, maybe do some reading, a call back. I'd love to hear how it's going. It sounds like you're still in the middle of some stuff, but it's great to hear a positive update. Glad to see you're taking some steps to put yourself in good environments. And, that's why we applauded you. It sounds like you're going to keep doing that. So, and it's tricky with your parents. It's going to take time. There's no hurry, but yeah, would love to continue the conversation.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Call again anytime. Take care. Good luck.
Take care.
Wow. Beautiful stream. My goodness. Some of those calls tonight, man, so amazing. And these people are amazing. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. This has been Anonymous Live. You guys are amazing. Thank you, chat, for all the food for thought. Thank you, mods. Tonight we had Deanna Krebs, Easy Cheesy, and I'm pretty sure it's just you two tonight. The mods, it seems like they're conspiring to concentrate their efforts, which is great. We really only need like one or two mods, so it's great. It's great to see that nobody wants to come into a chat full of mods where we're all moderating each other, do they? So I think it's great. Great to see that you guys are working through that. You guys are awesome. We love our mods here. Thank you for keeping us on topic, keeping the chat clean. And thanks to you, the chat. We will be back here on Sunday. We do these 3 times a week. Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. That is a mouthful. I'm going to pick a couple time zones from here on out. I'm going to say some stuff I regret. Thank you guys so much. Hope you have a great night. We'll see you again Sunday. And good night.